Here we are in Chapter 1 overview, and this is the bare bone facts about management, and pretty well a good overview of what we're going to be doing in this class for the next 15 weeks. It starts off with, what's the purpose of management? And we think, well, we're going to manage. We're going to get things done. We've got this to do and that to do. And actually, management's an art. It's the art of getting things done through people. Meaning we will have to motivate, engage, coax, mentor, guide, help, do whatever we can to get things done through people. Because no longer can one person do everything. So being able to manage people is very big for a manager, and that's the purpose of management per se. In addition to that, we need to be effective, or efficient. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Efficient, which means we use our resources efficiently, and effective, and that we achieve the results that we are supposed to receive. And then there needs to be a balance between the two of those. Sort of the means plus the ends equals success if it's balanced. So an example of this, because I know you're saying, well, what are you talking about? Let's look at a phone tree. Those are very efficient for the company. There's no people involved. There's no having to deal with personnel or anything. A little computer pops on and sends people to wherever they need to go. But does it achieve the results they want, which is a customer getting to the right place? I would say 9 times out of 10 that doesn't happen, because people just get so frustrated in a phone tree, and that's why, and I would be one of those people, that's why you see the ARG here. So you have to understand efficient and effective have to be balanced. Some things that are efficient for the company aren't at all efficient for your customers. So let's go back to why this course is important. Well, if you're going to be a manager, the course should help you learn how to be an exceptional manager by helping employees experience a sense of accomplishment, which really helps their confidence and keeps them loyal. It will help you meet new challenges, and it will also help you develop your own personal toolkit for managing. Now, if you're not going to be a manager and you're just here because it's a prereq for a course, or it has to be taken, I think you're going to find a lot of the information is going to be very useful for you. It's going to show you how to deal with managers. If you're an employee, you may get a better view of what a manager goes through and the pressures. You may be able to relate to the manager a little bit easier because you can put yourself in their place. Might help you understand some of the personalities of managers. And it'll help you understand how to act. Not only interact, but just act around managers. So it's a win-win, I think. And we have a question here for you that's going to be coming up on the screen fairly quickly. True or false? The purpose of management is to get things done by doing as much as you can by yourself. There you go. Go for it. Now, what are the levels of managers? There are right now about 3. There may be more intermediaries, but these are the 3 main ones. You have a top manager, a middle manager, and a frontline manager, and they all have separate roles or functions. For a top manager, which would be your CEO and officers of a company, they determine the overall direction the company's going to take, making long-term decisions about objectives and strategies for the company. You have a middle manager who would be department heads and directors that implement the policies and plans developed by these top managers. And they also coordinate the activities of the first line or front line managers, so that there's a coordination of what needs to be done. And finally, you have your first line or front line managers, who are supervisors and forepersons. They take care of the short-term operating decisions, directing the daily tasks of non-managerial personnel, which would be employees, and they carry out these plans and policies that are developed here by your middle managers. And there are two types of managers, which is, I think, fairly obvious, but we never think about it. There's a functional manager that's responsible for one organizational activity, and then you have general managers who are responsible for several organizational activities. A foreman would be a good, or a supervisor, either one, would be a good example of a functional manager. He's responsible, he or they, she, is responsible for one department. Whereas a general plant manager is responsible for many departments. So there are two ways to go with that. And this is very big. This is what the whole course is about, the functions of a manager. And we're going to work with this on our service project also. Is planning, one function, organizing, second function, leading is the third, and control and feedback is the fourth. So when you plan, you're going to be setting goals. When you organize, you're going to be arranging tasks to meet those goals. And then you're going to lead. Once you have your tasks laid out, you're going to motivate and direct and influence people or your employees to help you achieve these goals. Then you're going to step back and see if there's anything you can do to improve it. And then you'll start all over again. These are 4 biggies. Don't ever forget them because they're just going to be there. This is everything you're ever going to do. You're going to plan, organize, lead, and then control and feedback. And I think probably everybody knows this. Probably the little one that might be a surprise is this mutual benefit. But there are 3 types of businesses to manage. There's the for-profit, which we know. GM, Apple, Google, anything that's out there to make a profit. Non-profits kind of work in the reverse. They just want enough money to operate and cover their expenses. They're not really in it to make a profit. They are usually charities or service type industries or organizations that provide a service. And then we have a mutual benefit, which is probably something you may not have heard of, and that would be political parties or co-ops or unions. Any place where somebody comes together and it's a mutual benefit that they come together and work together with, and they are businesses or organizations. And there will be a question that asks you, what are the 4 functions of a manager? I hope you haven't forgotten. Now, this is the big. This is what are the challenges of being a manager. And there are several. I think there are 7 here. Let me see. I think there are 7. There's keeping that competitive advantage. You're always worried about that. You're always worried about, is your company competitive? What can you do to keep it competitive? What is going to make your company stand out among others? One of the biggies is being responsive to your customers. Many companies are very, very similar, and usually it's just customer service that may make the difference. If you think about fast foods, fast foods are very similar. But it's the customer service that keeps you coming back. You're going to have to be innovative to stay on top of it. You need to make sure your quality is very good. People are very, very picky. You just can't throw any product out there anymore. They want quality. And finally, you need to be efficient about it, simply because you need to stay in business and you want to be able to have that quality and that innovation and provide the lowest price possible so if you're efficient and always cost effective, you're probably going to be on top of the competition. Diversity is going to be an immense issue for you because, and the diversity we're talking about is diversity in your workforce. The workforce is changing tremendously. There are so many generational gaps now. You're going to have baby boomers, you're going to have Generation Ys, you're going to have Generation X's, you're going to have Generation Z's, you're going to have millenniums, and they all have different buttons to push for motivation. You're going to have to learn what motivates who, and then be able to use that. In addition, you're going to have to keep peace within your workforce because of this generational difference. And of course, you're also going to have great diversity, cultural diversity, that you will have to learn about because of the global environment we're now in, economy. And that takes us to globalization. You're going to have different cultures with different customs. Not only will your customers have different cultures, but your employees will have, or even the people that you deal with in a peer situation. The World is Flat. That's a very good book. If you get a chance, read it. It talks about how globalization and the economy are changing rapidly. And what we really have to understand is, even if we aren't an international company, global happenings do affect us. No matter what our affiliations are. Right now, what's going on with Saudi Arabia and gas prices, or OPEC, big effect on your business. They're very low, the gas prices. That actually is causing layoffs in some industries at this point in time. So globalization's a big area you have to stay on top of. Technology. Oh my, if you grew up in an era that didn't have technology, this is a major culture shock to many people. Right now, businesses run on the internet, online commerce. There's a lot of competition. Decisions are made so much quicker now because of technology. They have to be. You are doing online collaboration, which means you may be meeting online, such as this class. You may go into a organization that you will do two-way videos for your meetings. You need to put this class on your resume because you have done online collaboration. And actually, you need to take as many courses as you can using the online collaboration. We have ethical standards that will be a challenge. It's very important that we keep our ethics high so that we can maintain a democracy and a free market. We don't need everything collapsing because we're making unethical decisions and closing down plants. And companies who have good ethics standards have a better profit and actually stay in the market much longer than companies that make bad decisions. So that is always in the forefront. Sustainability, you want to make sure that your company is profitable. It's being can maintain itself, and you want to make sure it can sustain itself 20 years down the road without compromising the ability of or the future for future generations. And that's a tall order. We don't want to use up resources needed for future generations, nor do we want to pollute and possibly ruin resources for future generations. And in all reality, sustainability, while it may cost a little bit more now, will save money and increase profits. We're still struggling with that one. And finally, it's going to be very difficult sometimes to balance your happiness and your work balance back and forth. Make sure you take care of yourself, okay? I like to say that being a manager is very similar to being a teacher. You're a mentor, you're a guide, you help others grow and thrive, and then on the other side you have always got to worry about that profit and keeping the company running. Sometimes that doesn't leave a whole lot of room or time to be taking care of yourself and be happy. So make sure you leave time for yourself. And now we're going to have another question. Let's see, if all the challenges I've just talked about, select 3 that will be your biggest challenge, and then email me why the reason, why these, wow, that is really poorly written. Please email your instructor why these will be your biggest challenges. Please email your instructor. We need to get rid of that. That's what needs to go away. Please email your instructor the reason why these will be your biggest challenges. We need to think about that. And let's look at managers' roles. And the book, I think it was 1990 or maybe even 1980 that this study was done. So it's a little bit back in the past. But what they did find was managers rely, I need to prove my work here. Managers rely on verbal rather than written communication. They work long, hard hours at an intense pace, and their work is characterized by fragmentation, brevity, and variety, which means you move through a lot of decisions and different situations very quickly during the day. It's very fast-paced. There are 3 managers' roles that they came up with: was interpersonal roles, informational roles, and decisional roles. And as you can see, if you just look at these 3 and put them into this, you can see why things are fragmented, very brief, and there's a variety of them, because these are the roles you're going to have to play, and you're going to have to switch between them very quickly. On the other hand, there is entrepreneurship, or being an entrepreneur, because you do have to be an entrepreneur in a management role in many times. So let's discuss what that is. An entrepreneur is willing to take risks to create a new enterprise. They're pretty freewheeling. Some managers would make great entrepreneurs, but they don't want to take risks. So many times you will actually be an intrapreneur, which means that you're a manager or a person working within a company that helps develop new and innovative products within the company. And you almost function as an entrepreneur, that would be outside the company, but you're inside the company making these risks. And if you want to compare characteristics between a manager and entrepreneur, both have a high need for achievement. Both have a strong belief in personal control of destiny. Both have high energy level and are action orientated. And action orientation, wow, that should be entated. There you go. Entrepreneurs especially have a very high energy level. Then you have a high tolerance for ambiguity. Some managers aren't quite so high on this one, but entrepreneurs can take uncertainty very well. And this is more of a characteristic of an entrepreneur than a manager. They're very self-confident, and they have a high tolerance for risk. Many managers are somewhat conservative when it comes to risk, so some managers can switch in and out of that role. Here's a true-false. An entrepreneur is the same as an... Oh, let's try that again. An intrapreneur is the same as an entrepreneur, except they work with a company developing innovative products or creating new divisions rather than being out on their own. Is that true or false? And finally, we're going to get down to the skills required by a manager. Well, a manager needs technical skills, usually in a specialized field. Conceptual skills, you need to be able to think analytically, to visualize, and to understand how the parts fit together. You need to have human skills so that you can motivate people and can get things done. This is so important anymore, is those human skills. And the most valued traits are the ability to motivate and engage others, which comes to these human skills. The ability to communicate, again, you're looking at human skills. Work experience outside of America, and this could become big later on in your career. So if you get a chance to work in another country, you might want to consider doing that, or taking an internship to another country. And you need high energy levels to meet the demands of global travel and the 24/7 work world. Even if you're not going to travel globally, there will be times when you're using the 24/7 work world, simply because of the internet and the connectivity of working in a corporation. Now, what you want to look at is, how do your preferences match to manager the required traits? And we're going to find out here in the class on Wednesday. We'll go through a form. So here's a question you're going to have on the screen. Select one that applies. Of the skills required by a manager, which skill will you have to work? Which skill will you have to work the hardest? Which skill will you need to work the hardest on? Which one is really going to be difficult for you? So thank you for putting up with my typos and listening to this video. I will see you Wednesday in class, and we'll talk about your preferences and how they match a manager's required traits. Thank you.